Hi, everyone. My name is Shoup, and I am a master's student here at the Ohio State University. I'm studying precision agriculture, an FABE under Dr. John Fulton, and I'm doing a project on manure nutrient management. So I'm going to share today about my project and kind of what we did. So my project is, um, you know, how we can best optimize and utilize the new technologies on the market into manure or liquid manure application. So currently, without any of these sensors, you either tank or dragline apply your manure. You have a rate that is predetermined based on a pit sample, a 500 milliliter pit sample, maybe what your crops are using and some soil sampling you did. And then after you're done, you have an empty pit, but you also have an estimated coverage map of, we applied 5,000 gallons an acre. Something like that is usually what people are having. And in this picture, you can see kind of some of the research we did. I'm going to follow up and show you a video and I'll talk on a little bit more. So I just want to show and share kind of what we're doing here is you have an inline sensor directly on that toolbar right before the distribution manifold. On top of the tractor, you see the globe. That's an RTK globe that's able to keep us between the rows. And this is actually a partnered project where Glenn Arnold is side dressing corn, and we partnered with his project to do this application and utilize the sensor in this area. And then you can also see that the toolbar is outfitted with some sampling ports. So samples were taken every 20 minutes for lab analysis to compare to what the sensors read, not for accuracy, just to see kind of if there's a bias one way that we can calibrate for. These sensors are still being calibrated to our systems and things like that. We're just trying to help our industry partner and kind of just give them feedback and things like that. So we're not trying to validate, that they work or not. So I'm going to move on. I really want to share what we found out. And I think we're going to start here with, what the samples that we took concurrent with sampling or with the application provided us. So there is something to keep in mind here that pit 1 and 2 were agitated, pit 3 and 4 were not. You can see the difference in what agitation did. The consistency in pit 2 is evident. There's still a change, but it is much more consistent than that of 3 and 4 that were not agitated. And you can really see that in the P205. I think that's pretty cool, how agitation can mitigate some of this variation. But there is challenges with agitation, and I acknowledge that, and I understand them. So, and then I just want to move on, kind of keep this short, but I want to show what the sensor was able to provide, not only after the fact, the maps and stuff, but the operator feedback in the cab, I think is really cool. You can see, you're getting your flow rate, and then it's estimating your constituents down there in the bottom box. And you actually have like an applied nutrient coverage map. This is all very similar. It's a screen, similar to that of harvesting or planting. That I think that's just pretty cool. It's on par with those things that we're used to. But then you also have this target rate limiting factor, and then this tractor implement automation, if compatible. Those three are pretty cool because it tells the operator that he can speed up and slow down to achieve his target rate and still meet his limiting factor. So I just think that that's a cool opportunity. Having some feedback right there in front of you, it's tracking your flow rate, you're seeing all those things, all those numbers, you're seeing if you're having spikes or something like that in the cab. So not only is that cool, but I want to show you some of the maps that it generated as well. So, this sensor, this was just 2 days that we did this at one site. We pumped 1.2 million gallons of manure, and the sensor took 50,450 measurements. Every 20 minutes, I only took 25 samples at this site. And and you can see how much different, you know, the variation is compared to what my samples said. So this is, if you look at the phosphorus map in that top portion the second day, that is where that pit 1 came from. So I think that's pretty cool. You can see kind of the variation. I'm going to change my pointer here to being something you guys can see. So here on phosphorus, this is where we started into the field. So you can see how it's heavier at this portion. And then you work your way this way. And then you always do your loop. So the hose came this way. So then you come across, drag, so that you're able to manage your hose. And then you start across the field here. And then they relined their hose here. And then they did this half. And then they finished down this corner. So you can see how you started with more phosphorus here and ended with more phosphorus here. And it is consistent in this field, in this field. So I just think that that's pretty cool that you can see those, you know, you can see where you started and where you finished. You can see, you know, those changes. You can also see that this field and this field all came out of the same pit. And then this field, and this field. So these three are all out of the same pit. You know, and it's interesting because this is steer manure, actually. They have a slatted floor steer barn there where these two fields were taken out of, and you can see the difference in phosphorus. But then, you know, it is still pretty good in nitrogen. I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to close up here. You know, I want to keep it short and sweet. I just think that these are some pretty cool maps. Just want to share kind of what we're seeing. Very preliminary results. We only have a small data set right now, but this is some pretty cool information to use just to show what these sensors can do. So, you know, I just want to reiterate that, you know, we see stratification of the pit nutrients. You know, there's valuable operator feedback, and you know, your phosphorus and your nitrogen concentrations do change during application, as was shown in those last maps. So again, I'm Chris. Feel free to email me if we don't get your questions answered here in the Q&A to follow these presentations. I really appreciate you guys listening. Thank you.